I pledge myself to a new deal for the American people.
When Franklin Delano Roosevelt won the presidential election in 1932, he would face a country that had plummeted into the worst economic depression it would ever experience. Unemployment at 50%. Bread lines blocks long. Over 5,000 bank failures. A vast stock market collapse. Thousands of farm foreclosures. The Great Plains drought, producing the infamous Dust Bowl, and a totally dispirited American citizenry. The Depression shaped 2 generations of middle Americans as they grew up in a world of scarcity and poverty. Thereafter, they would live their lives with a sense of doom, that hard times could be just around the corner. Normally, after a collapse and depression like the one in 1929, a natural recovery occurred in 2 years. This time, it did not happen. Instead, the economy got worse. Something in the American economy had changed drastically to create this first truly urban depression. Befuddled, Hoover and congressional Republicans were at a loss about how to fix it. A new approach was needed, and Franklin Delano Roosevelt promised a New Deal. On March 4, 1933, Roosevelt became America's 33rd president. His inaugural speech, filled with promise of action, gave the nation hope. He immediately sent Congress a banking bill that would stem the tide of bank closings across the nation. The bill called for a bank holiday that would close banks for 6 days. The bill passed the Senate and the House in 8 hours. The swiftness of its passage from bill to law gave the American people hope that something would be done. When the banks reopened, people began redepositing their money. In the next 100 days, Roosevelt tried more than most presidents do in 4 years. The 2 main policies of his New Deal were the Agricultural Adjustment Act and the National Recovery Administration. The Agricultural Adjustment Act aimed to boost farm income by controlling production. Fields of grain were plowed under and animals slaughtered in order to drive up farm prices. The National Recovery Administration tackled the problem of a price-cutting, wage-cutting spiral and introduced 2 agencies to help stimulate industry: the National Recovery Administration and the Public Works Administration. It set minimum wages and maximum hours on a voluntary basis. 2 million employers accepted this code. There were many more New Deal policies in the first 100 days. The Federal Emergency Relief Act set up a federal system to help the poor. The Homeowners Loan Act saved countless homes by aiding homeowners in refinancing their mortgages. The famous Civilian Conservation Corps recruited young men between the ages of 18 and 25 to work in the countryside. It promoted a national conservation program that included reforestation. Roosevelt also abandoned the 33-year-old gold standard, and the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation was set up to protect savings deposits and helped restore confidence in banks. But the most striking program, and the one that demonstrated the New Deal's startling innovations, was the TVA, the Tennessee Valley Authority. The TVA established public power, flood control, inland waterways, and better use of farmlands for an area including Tennessee, Kentucky, Georgia, Alabama, and Mississippi. When it was all said and done, Roosevelt's New Deal re-inspired American confidence and introduced a new era of government involvement in the welfare of U.S. citizens. The New Deal was a striking departure from the government's laissez-faire attitude from 1880 to 1929. The proverbial safety net had been created. In retrospect, the New Deal was a chaotic grab bag of policies guided in part by a new economic theory called Keynesian economics. It said that big, powerful countries did not have to play by the rules that governed the economics of states, corporations, and individuals. Off the gold standard, America could spend its way out of the Depression. However, it took another world war to truly set the country economically right again. In the end, no one can really say why the Depression lasted over 10 years.